We've got a pretty exciting morning here. Oh, got a pretty exciting morning. So, we're up early. Got up about a little after 5, and it's actually weird. There's ice on the lake, if you can see that. And we're actually going to the golf course. So, yeah, you can see there's still a lot of snow, a lot of ice, but it's supposed to be 80 degrees today. And I'm pretty excited to get started working and kind of seeing what the golf course is like. So this was kind of the first real night of heavy melting here, and we've had some warm days to kind of melt away what snow we've had left. But we're just going to actually take a look here and see kind of how the golf course fared throughout the winter. And compared to Sunday, it's now Wednesday, a lot of this snow is melted, but you know, we still have quite a bit in the shadows. So I'm not expecting the whole course to be snow free, but we are going to take a look and kind of figure out, you know, what parts of the course look good and what parts of the course look bad. I'm really curious to see. I did some deep tining aeration here last fall, and it didn't heal the way I wanted it to. So essentially, we're gonna see how it healed, and if I need to possibly throw on some more sand on those greens. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping I can just throw on some fertilizer. It's called Aquaritin. It's a very fast-acting fertilizer to get that color back and hopefully have it grow in better. So by the time I mow or roll, I can have, I guess, better results. So with that being said, I winterized the course here. I did my final spraying right around November 4th, I believe it was last year. So right around November 4th, 5th, or 6th, I did a combination of my final spraying and got the course ready for, you know, winter. So again, it's supposed to be 80 today. You can still see we've got some snow, so that is a plus. I'm not worried about snow mold per se, because it was a pretty mild winter, but I am worried about how the greens healed. So we're gonna see that today and kind of put a plan of action together as to how we are going to go forward with the golf course this spring moving into summer. But I would assume I will be able to get out there and fertilize greens, tees, fringes pretty soon, I would imagine. And I definitely am going to fertilize fairways earlier this year, because I had some issues. I had a lot of issues last year, I guess, getting them to grow in. And because of that, I had a lot of weed growth, which I didn't really like. So I'm hoping to fertilize fairways earlier this year. I did it right before July 4th last year, which was too late. It was too late. So this year I kind of want to try to fertilize those maybe end of May, right around Memorial Day, and maybe do two times of spraying for fairways. That's not out of the question. And well, first a granular fertilizer for fairways with a broadcast spreader, but you know, that's completely not out of the question. So we'll just kind of take a look here and see, but we'll go from there and just make a plan of action once we see what the golf course is like. So this is every golf course owner's dream. Waking up in the morning, you can see I've got a lot of work to do here from the winter. I've got car blockers everywhere, but this is every golf course owner's or superintendent's dream. It's so wet out, but we're gonna take a look here at, you can see how wet it is out still, and thank God it's wet because it's supposed to be about 80 degrees here today and tomorrow, so it's really gonna dry out, and you can really, and we'll stop up here a little bit more. You can really see how well the grass is growing in, although we do have some dead spots on the fairways, and it doesn't look overly great per se. That's kind of normal. We'll go up a little bit farther here and try to find maybe a bit of a worse spot to explain what's going on. So this is historically one of the worst spots on the golf course. The nutrients don't stay up very high. The nutrients don't stay up very high because it all slopes down, and you can see that the west side, or the bottom side, the lower side of that fairway is much better looking because the nutrients in the soil, basically from when I fertilized on through winter, leak down into the lower part of the course because of washout rain, snow melt, etc. So you can see here we've got quite a bit of, this is pink snow mold, and if I don't fertilize this fairly soon, it's going to be hell to grow in. It's going to cause a lot of erosion. This happened to me last year. I just didn't fertilize soon enough. So what happened, oh, you can see how much sticks and branches I got to cut up. What happened was last summer, none of this would grow in. I mean, it would grow in, but it wouldn't grow in great. And you can see we've already got a lot of great tissue growth here already. So I think that when I fertilize this, it's really going to pop up well, better than last year. This isn't nearly as bad as it was last year. I had big patches, like 10 by 10 patches at least, of just completely dead grass. So what we want to do here is promote good tissue growth, good root growth, to basically weed out the weeds, essentially, right away. And you can see a lot of that, just nasty snow mold. It's very wet out here. And matter of fact, we'll head over to number 8 green. But the more I fertilize, or I should say the quicker I fertilize these fairways, the better they're going to grow in. And I may fertilize some of the edges of the roughs as well, just to promote some good tissue growth, to try to basically fend off the weeds. But you can see here, my greens didn't grow in the way I thought they were going to in the fall, and that's clearly visible. But I do have to say, this is one goddamn good looking green. And I'm very proud to have such a great looking green all around. Fringes, tee boxes so far that I've seen, they've all looked great. And I clearly sprayed very well in the wintertime. This is a problem here, though. You can see we've got some mouse, and that's just normal. A lot of mouse popping through, making holes or whatever, but that's okay. That'll all grow back in. Nothing to be overly concerned about there, but you can see how healthy the grass is and how well it came through. I'm just excited. I'm at a loss for words. So you can, and this is visible. We're going to take a look at this part of the green here. You can see I maybe didn't get that very well, but case in point. So area where I sprayed some Enclave on, snow mold protectant, Tri-Wet primer. You can see where it sprayed, and you can see where I didn't get. And that's just that chemical working to basically protect the leaf shield and protect the plant. And you pair that with a Tri-Wet, basically a surfactant or a primer, and it really helps to conserve that moisture, let the tissue pick up the moisture basically, and hold it throughout the winter. And as much as I would like to spray my fairways for that, I guess the best reactant to that is to eventually spread some granular fertilizer down and make sure that it grows in the way it should. You can see though with aerification, my tines weren't as sharp as I wanted them to be, and they went deep. So it is going to take a little while for those greens to grow in. Although when I spread the fertilizer, they are going to grow in pretty well. You can see there's some more snow up here. Hopefully I don't get stuck. And here again, here's a prime example of, you can see the clear line of where I sprayed well and where I didn't spray well. So this is a clear line. This was one of my last tee boxes last year from what I can remember. It appears that I may have to replace this head as it may have cracked. Later, oh no, I hit this. I remember I hit this with the aerifier last year. So I'm going to have to fix that, and that's my own fault. But you can clearly see here, this is a great line of, it's still going, of where the sprayer wasn't working, or where I ran out of solution, basically a mixture of the cocktail, and where I had the cocktail. So that's a perfect explanation of how that enclave works, how the dry-wet works, and how it is there to protect the plant. And nothing's more clear than that right there. So, I mean, if this is the only mistake that I made, or I just didn't quite mix enough cocktail up, then that's pretty good. This I will have to replace. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. Not a fan of irrigation, but we've still got some snow up here, and that's a great example. I mean, there's no more clear evidence of how that chemical is working than this distinct straight line where the sprayer went and where it didn't. So good learning lesson, I would have to say. You almost want to make more cocktail than you have to in order to make sure you're spraying correctly. So as we're driving around the rest of the course here, you can see I've got some storm cleanup to do, actually from a storm that happened in early December. So I'm going to be working pretty hard to get that done. I've got just some other minor stuff here to pick up, but very impressed with how the greens came through. I could roll these once to get all of the dirt off, and then I can go over and mow them. We've still got some standing water right here, which has been a dagger of mine, and it's related to this mess of brush here, which I'm just gonna take down. It serves no purpose to me. I'd rather put a rock garden here or something, but this was a dagger of mine here. It sucks. I'm not a fan of how this looks on my golf course. So I'm going to have to, it's so wet, I'm going to have to essentially cut all these poor trees and shrubs down and put a rock garden in there, because I can't have that. I just can't have that. But overall, though, I'm very impressed with how the course came through. You can still see I've actually got some top dressing sand on the greens. I had a little bit of damage right there from aeration this year, but I have a pretty good feeling that once this starts to grow, and once I put that Aquaritin on it, with a little bit of nitrogen here, it's actually going to grow in fairly well. We really shouldn't have any problems with that, along with the fringes as well. And you can see I've extended the fringes out, which I'm very glad I did, to give a little bit more playability to the actual golf course. I'm gonna pick up the snowmobiling blazers. We've got another little tree to pick up here. It's just a real mess right now, and it always feels like I don't ever have enough time to get everything done in the spring. You can already see we've got some mole problems. It's wet. Woo! That is a wet one. There's a golf ball right there. Yeah, you can see I've got some mole problems out there. So when I go to the store next, I'm just gonna have to get some mole killer or ask my rep who's coming today. This green again came through very well. Very happy about that. My fringes came through well, and basically the only problem green I'm gonna have is still covered with snow. So I should be sitting fairly well from that aspect. Otherwise, everything else is growing in very well. You can see another prime example. You can see where I started my passes. Boom, boom. You can see where the pass wasn't going very well. Again, where my sprayer wasn't spraying the best. But you can clearly see where the sprayer started and where it ended. I mean, just think, that little grass plant wasn't spared. This little grass plant was spared. So I wish I could do my whole fairways. It would just make life really easy. But I don't have the money to do that. It's very expensive. Maybe someday I'll be able to get to that level, and then I won't have to worry about fertilizing. But I guess when you fertilize, it helps it grow in better. Even if you were to spray some Enclave or some of that chlorothalonil on the fairways in the fall, you still have to fertilize. So it's just, how nice a facility do you have? And I have a 9-hole facility that, in my eyes, is very nice peak season, but I just don't have the money to justify spraying all the frickin' time. So again, we've got some major mole issues here. These little buggers, they're just, I've never had this much problem with moles. And to tell you the honest truth, these are fresh, and boy, do they suck. Oh, what havoc causers. This is terrible. So we're gonna take those little buggers out eventually. We've got a little bit of a rock. We've got some rock. Oh, it is wet here. We're gonna do a little rock garden around this area here too, which will look excellent. We've got to start on that again pretty much as soon as possible. But that area is gonna look great. I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. It's just so wet out here still. So clearly we can't golf yet. Although I may have to go out and try swinging a few times. See how it goes. I don't know what this is here. I have to check that. That appears to be a box. We'll pick that up, throw it in the back. So anyway, it's just a little intro of the season of how the golf course came through the winter, and I would have to say it came through pretty well. I'm excited to fertilize these fairways. I'm really excited to fertilize the greens and see how they came through, and get these fairways coming back to where they need to be, and get irrigation going as well. So we've got our work cut out for us here, but I think we're going to be able to tackle it all, and we're going to make some serious headway here within the next week, especially when it's cold out. I basically have a week and a half before I open, so we'll be able to get a lot done in that week and a half. I'm just kind of waiting for the course to dry out today a little bit more. I got to run some errands and go from there. But tomorrow should be go time on cleaning everything up and getting everything to where it needs to be.